Hi, I'm Asterales Sedai of the Yellow Archer. Here is a recap for non-book readers of Season 1, Episode 7, The Dark Along the Ways of The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. If you're like me and can't get enough positive Wheel of Time content in your life, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Spoiler warning, I will be discussing characters and events up to Episode 7, but nothing that happens differently or later in the books. This is safe, as long as you've seen Episode 7. Let's go! This episode opens to an Aiel warrior running through the snow. It looks like the battle is mostly over. There are casualties from both sides. She's veiled, meaning she was intentionally fighting in battle, and she's heavily pregnant. As she reaches a rock, she unveils to deal with her contractions. From Tom Merrilyn's explanation in Episode 3, this means that she is no longer intending to fight at this moment. Unfortunately, she is rudely interrupted by a soldier wielding a sword. He doesn't look too experienced though, and she easily ducks his attempted swings and then grabs his cape, pulling him to the ground and finishing him off. Let this be a lesson, no capes. More soldiers come to attack her, but without success. She's able to use her spears skillfully with both hands, as well as throw a spear accurately to take out a soldier at range. She fights off 3 at one time before succumbing to more contractions. During one of these contractions, one soldier is finally able to take advantage of the brief lapse to plunge a dagger into her side. She doesn't give up, but back headbutts him, disarming him, and using that same dagger she was just wounded with to finish him off too. Her injury is serious, but again, she's not giving up. She grabs the cape from that soldier and retreats back to the rock in preparation to give birth. As she starts to push, a sword is held to her throat. She looks up in shock, but not fear. It's a soldier brandishing a very familiar heron-marked blade. In the ways, things are initially pitch black until Lan lights a torch. Nynaeve and Rand want to open the waygate back up for Mat, but Moraine refuses, saying that he made his choice. It's a similar callback to when the ferryman drowned. She also passes a torch to Nynaeve and then just walks off. Nynaeve and Egwene wonder if they could try to channel the gate open themselves, but Loyal warns them that that would be a bad idea, as channeling would draw something called Mushin Shin. Interestingly, he avoids explaining what that is, but suggests catching up to Moraine and Lan, who are getting further away. Egwene points out that they're not really leaving Mat behind, as technically he left them. Nynaeve promises to find Mat when it's all over. Even she knows the best decision for them is to move forward for now. As they walk, Lan quietly asks Moraine about her decision to leave Mat behind. Moraine replies that he has an inherent darkness that means even if he was the dragon, he would most likely join the Dark One, and she won't risk that. Loyal also gets a chance to explain that the ways were not always like this. It was once a more idyllic zone, with grass and fruit trees. Perrin is the first to spot something up ahead. Seems like he has sharper night vision than anyone else. It's a guide stone, but it's been defaced. Loyal says this could take a while, and for an Ogier to say it will take a while, that means a long time. So Moraine tells them to set up camp while they wait. It's a literal case of wake me up when you're done. Lan quietly mentions to Moraine that someone is following them, but there's not much they can do about it. As they sleep, Lan is on guard watching over the party. Egwene is woken by a familiar whistling tune and wakes Rand to investigate. As they peer into the darkness, a Trolloc jumps out at them. Egwene screams and instinctively defends herself. A blast of the One Power throws the Trolloc off the sides. Everyone is awake now. Loyal says it should be impossible for Trollocs to travel in the ways, but Lan says it explains how they got to the Two Rivers undetected. Egwene is horrified. She apologizes that she didn't mean to channel, knowing that that will bring Mushin Shin down on them. Nynaeve cuts straight to the point as usual, demanding to know what Mushin Shin is. Loyal explains that it means black wind in the old tongue. And this could end up being a long explanation, so Moraine steps in with the most important part. It will speak to you, and just ignore what it says. They change their plans to take the nearest exit. Lightning flashes, and there's the briefest glance of the peddler. He's still following them. As they run, the black wind has indeed been drawn by the channeling, and comes at them like an angry swarm. It speaks out each person's darkest self-doubt and anxiety, the voice of depression come to life. For Moraine, it's that she's wrong and will lead people to unnecessary death. For Egwene, it's that she's an imposter and fraud. For Rand, it's that Egwene will leave him. For Perrin, it's that he wanted his wife out of the way. And for Lan, it's that he can't protect her and he'll watch her die. For Nynaeve, it's that she's lost Matt and will lose them all until she has no one. Just like at the end of episode 4, Nynaeve is overcome with emotion and bursts out with the one power, holding back the black wind. Moraine is taking her own advice and ignoring what the wind says to channel open the waygate. They all run out. Lan grabs Nynaeve, and when they are safely through, Moraine comes out last, closing the way behind her. She takes a moment to gather herself, and then commends them for following her instructions and all getting out safely. Lan looks out beyond the city at the area that lies past it. It's clear they're all still haunted by what was said to them inside, especially Rand. In true Aes Sedai speak, Moraine tells them that whatever they heard, to not dwell on it, but she doesn't actually reassure them that it's not true. As Loyal announces, Valdara is a fortress city, the last bastion against the Blight. This is a settlement that is built for defense. Our party are given an audience with their leader. Interestingly, he greets Lan first as Daishan, and Moraine Sedai second. He even interrupts Moraine twice as she talks. It seems a bit jarring compared to how other people behave around Aes Sedai. He's bristling because her presence implies that he's not in control of guarding the Blight and that they need White Tower help. When she's finally able to speak, she says she has no such intention of interfering, and she's simply there with some new information. The Dark One is using the ways, and the waygate just outside the city should be walled up. He acknowledges the information and apologizes for his initial reaction. It's still a conversation equal to equal, though. He doesn't see Aes Sedai as people to be venerated. The Feldarans can't wall up the waygate quickly enough, though. A lone figure emerges, the peddler. How did he get out if he can't channel? And did he escape the black wind? Moraine and the lady walk through the corridors, and it's the lady that channels the torches alight. Moraine says she wants to visit Min, and the lady refers to her as the seer. Looks like we're going to be meeting another new important character. She also asks Moraine why she was in the ways. Moraine notes that the lady trained in the White Tower, but wasn't strong enough to become Aes Sedai. She has a ring, but it doesn't have a gemstone. Rather than answering the question, she changes the topic and says that she needs a message delivered for the Red Aja to find Mat Cawthon. Does Moraine think he can channel? Is she leading the Reds to gentle him as they did with Logain? Moraine leads the villagers through the walled city. Rand is still shaken, and Egwene tries to pep talk him, just as she did with Perrin back in episode 5. Speaking of Perrin, his superpowers of observation means he's spotted the peddler walking by them. Nynaeve tells him that's impossible. He died in the Beltane attack, and he remarks on how much their lives have changed since that night. Moraine has reached her destination. It's a tavern where they can all rest for a drink. Perrin explains the way of the leaf to Rand, but he's focused on the dietary restrictions. The Tinkers are the vegans of this world. Nynaeve hasn't dropped her guard. She knows this isn't just an innocent dinner stop, and Moraine must be up to something. Sure enough, this place wasn't chosen at random. The bartender here is Min, the seer she wanted to meet with. Min's not happy about being asked to read the new visitors, but she does so reluctantly. Perrin has yellow eyes and blood dripping down his mouth. Rand is holding a baby, and the girls have images of a white flame and a ring of gold. All 4 of them are linked by sparks of light, and she says it's all very clear. These people are very important to the pattern. Min drinks twice when reporting to Moraine. First to say she didn't know whose baby it was, and second when she says none are stronger than the others. Is she trying to hide something? There's also a prediction for Moraine. The Amelin seat in full regalia will be Moraine's downfall. The villagers are relaxing in some of the fortress rooms when they hear Moraine and Lan. Shush, the teacher is coming. After being somewhat cornered, Moraine finally admits that she was hoping Min would tell her who the dragon was, so she could spare those who aren't the dragon from certain death. The villagers aren't thinking about this, but if she thinks that she's going with them, then she believes that she will die too. Egwene is all in. She's willing to do whatever it takes, no matter the cost. Nynaeve points out that while Moraine can't lie, she could be wrong even if she believes she's telling the truth. And Egwene says this isn't about Moraine, it's about doing the right thing. Perrin's still doubtful. What if Mat's the dragon? Egwene scoffs at this idea, and that's just the spark that Rand needs to blow up at Egwene. Perrin steps in, and then Nynaeve blurts out that she's sick of them fighting over Egwene like a prize. There's nothing scandalous between Perrin and Egwene, though. Just the complicated feelings of a close group that have grown up together in a small village. They all walk away, and Nynaeve is left alone, pulling on a braid for comfort. Moraine looks out towards the Blight, where they will head the next morning, like an inmate on death row. She reminisces on the night she met Lan in the Borderlands and feels guilty about dragging him into her mission. Lan says that he had nothing before her and that she gave him a purpose and a reason for living. She offers that she likes the wisdom. It's similar to when he told her, "Give her my love," back in episode 6. Lan meets up with a family for dinner, but knows Nynaeve is following him. So he turns the table, sneaks up on her, practically teleporting, and offers her to come in and join the meal. It's a very touching scene, especially considering Nynaeve may never have experienced this sort of family meal since she lost her parents. At the end of their date night, she's the one walking him to his room. There's a moment of tension, but he says goodbye and goes to his room, closing the door behind him. Aww. But, as he prepares to sleep, regretting what might have been, the door opens. It's Nynaeve. They take up where they left off outside the door. Out in the practice yard, Rand is having trouble with his shots. Egwene marches up, ready to talk, or rather accept an apology. And after all of that, ever the optimist, Egwene says that they'll all be coming back and Moraine was wrong. Rand tells her that she won't be able to ignore the power inside her and offers to go to the White Tower as her warder. They kiss and make up. Egwene says that if he's the dragon, she'll stand by him no matter what. Back in Lan's rooms, Nynaeve asks about the term Daishan. Lan explains that it's the title of the future king of Malkia, but it's a kingdom that no longer exists. Malkia was swallowed by the Blight, and on that night, one of the king's soldiers smuggled him out of the palace to safety, even as his family were killed. Nynaeve knows it's not so much about being a king without a kingdom, but that Lan is simply also a boy without a family. Lan knows it's the same with her, and that she's made the Two Rivers villagers her family. Rand can't get any rest. He's putting all the pieces together in his head. While he was bringing Tam into town, it turns out that his father was mumbling things to Rand, thinking that it was his wife. Tam had stumbled across someone in the snow, and a baby was crying. It's nothing but bullseyes now. He's also thinking back to when the Dark Friend locked him in the room, and it turns out that it wasn't super strength that got the door down. Rand had used the one power to burst the door open. And that's not his only channeling. It was Rand that pushed the Trolloc off the edge in the ways. A final piece of the puzzle, Mashin Shin was telling him that deep down, you've always known it's you. You are the dragon reborn. For confirmation, he goes to find Min, the seer. He wants to be let out of his misery, but she doesn't have good news for him and tells him her first ever vision. We cut back to the flashback from the opening. It was Tam brandishing the sword on the Aiel warrior, but he's not there to kill her. He puts the sword down and helps her to give birth. Min, in a vision, saw the baby born on the slopes of Dragonmount, but who grew up in a sleepy village surrounded by sheep. When Rand asks her what she sees when looking at him now, she replies cryptically, rainbows and carnivals and 3 beautiful women. She won't answer when Rand asks if he makes it back from the Eye of the World, and just gets up to leave. The next morning, Egwene goes to Nynaeve's rooms, ready to sacrifice herself at the Eye of the World if that's what she needs to do. She smirks when she realizes she's the first there, and that clearly Nynaeve did not sleep there last night. Nynaeve comes in, and then Perrin. But who's missing? Turns out Rand has already gone to visit Moraine earlier that night, and admitted to Moraine that he thinks he's the dragon. They've already left for the Eye, so that no one else has to die. Lan comes to tell the rest the news, that even he was left behind by Moraine, who masked him on so that she can't be tracked or followed. The episode finishes with Rand and Moraine approaching an oppressive landscape of tangled vines and trees. Disturbingly, one of the trees seems to have a skull embedded in it. Doesn't look like a safe place to travel, and that's where we cut to black. Thanks for watching. If you liked my spoiler-free summary of this episode, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for future updates. And remember, yellows make the world a better place.